Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday, the 13th day of December, 2016. I'm your host, Alex Jones. I'll be hosting today. Paul Watson will be co-hosting coming up at the bottom of the next hour. And then, of course, we have Leanne McAdoo hosting the fourth hour with Owen Schroyer. Thank you so much for joining us. Roger Stone pops in at the start of the next hour with big breaking news and analysis as he just left Trump Tower last night and flew back to Florida. Wow, where to start, as I always say. Man. I have really studied U.S. history. I've studied world history. It's so interesting. I have never seen more open, brazen, naked attempts by intelligence agencies and a party that has been voted out of office. I've never seen such brazen attempts at a soft coup. I've seen militaries take over presidential palaces or overthrow governments. Coups are something that happens basically on a monthly basis around the world. But to see this modern 21st century attempt at a media coup by a president who only has 37 days left in office and rogue elements of a discredited, bloated intelligence agency is simply incredible. Now, the good news is they started pushing this whole Russia's controlling the narrative, Russia's controlling the election a year ago, and no one ever bought it. And it's been discredited along the line. And we have conflicting statements from Clapper, the head of the CIA, and others that we're going to go over here in a moment. But here's the basic boil down. It's the communist Chinese that gave over $300 million to super PACs and the Clinton campaign, and it was all completely illegal. But they did it through U.S. subsidiaries, so the controlled Justice Department stood down and allowed it to take place. The corruption is just naked, out in the open. Brazen, unapologetic. Saudi Arabia has almost matched the amount of illegal contributions. You can just search engine. Saudi Arabia has made massive contributions to the Democrats and to Hillary, meddling in our internal affairs. Then we have the millions of illegals in this country, with the Democrats catering to them to vote illegally. Zero Hedge breaks down the numbers where Saudi Arabia has funded 20% of Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. Saudi Crown Prince claims publicly. You have to understand, China brags that they're funding both political parties, but particularly the Democrats. Communist China lectures us in our newspapers that we better, quote, control your new independent media. You better shut down the alt-right. That was 2 weeks ago in the Wall Street Journal. The Chinese president lectures the American people. The Chinese president brags that they're controlling our elections. The Pope tells Catholics to vote against Trump and says it's a sin to support him, and says shut down the alternative media or it's like having sexual pleasure out of eating feces. You cannot make this up. If you're a new listener and just tuned in, I'm telling you, I'm quoting word for word what they say. Truth is stranger than fiction. China admits, even the Washington Post admits, even Hollywood Reporter admits, has already bought up most of Hollywood and now is about to get controlling shares in all 6 production houses. Globalism is wide open world corporate government. The EU last Monday gave U.S. tech giants 24 hours to start censoring a giant list of what they called fake news. InfoWars and Drudge are on the list, and guess what? Now it's hard to share links on Facebook and Reddit, you name it, of Infowars.com. It's happening. And they write mainstream news articles saying Alex Jones is fake news. He says he's being censored as Google Chrome blocks us and calls us fake news, as Reddit shadow bans us, as the same thing happens with Breitbart, and they get their apps that they've had for years kicked off. And they respond and say, nothing's happening. This is incredible. Hillary names us by name and says she wants the alt-right shut down once she gets elected. She loses, even though she tried to steal it, and now they're still moving forward and even saying ban Donald Trump from Twitter. The Washington Post didn't just say that a week ago. Yesterday, they called for seizing Trump Tower, saying they shouldn't have to pay for the security. They're at all-out war with the American people. And the CIA, here's the coup de grace. The CIA totally discredited. Its job is overthrowing countries. Its job is lying, doing dirty tricks, under orders from Obama and the whole Soros combine, comes out and says yesterday, led by Nancy Pelosi's daughter, this is in the San Francisco Chronicle, the New York Post, you name it, they come out and they openly say that they've lined up a whole bunch of electors. It was 2 a week ago. Pelosi has 10 alone. And reportedly, they're going to try to get more than 50 and try to reverse it. And we won't know until January 6th because they send their votes in on the 19th. They've got to be there by the 6th. They then get counted, and then the numbers get released. And I guess if there's a battle, it'll be a debate in Congress for the first time in modern history. And then we could see Trump unseated. And they're now admitting that's their goal. Hillary had Podesta come out from under a rock yesterday and call for a new election and say they're supporting having the CIA, quote, brief the electors. A rogue splinter element of the CIA that's not supposed to operate domestically in America is saying, and now it's being announced that Obama is going to authorize the CIA to visit all of the electors and basically lean on them like the mafia gets caught leaning on grand juries and juries to ignore the vote, ignore their pledge that they signed, and to deep six Donald Trump. This is total sedition. This is the foreign meddling. And this is the Democratic Party that doesn't want to leave office, holding on by their fingernails with 37 days left, and George Soros doubling the funding that he did in the previous year the day after Hillary lost, and Kellogg's and 100+ other big, Miller Brewing, you name it, all the globalists, all the usual suspects gave hundreds of millions more, millions per company the week after the election to Black Lives Matter and the communist groups and all the violent destabilization, cop killer organizations. This is a foreign globalist takeover, just like the globalists destabilized the Middle East and Africa using Islamicists, just like they use right-wing versus left-wing Christian Orthodox versus Catholic Christians in Ukraine. They are dividing us, and they're hyping up the race war. And here's the bottom line. I know for a fact Kanye West has been trying to break away from the Kardashians for a while. He knows about the Illuminati. He went to some of the spirit cooking events that were public. And the word is Kanye West is having a freak out. He was forcibly grabbed and kept in a mental institution for almost 2 weeks when he calmly said he's supporting Trump now and would have voted for him if he voted, and the people should stop bashing Trump supporters and we should all come together. He didn't fight anybody, nothing happened, and his managers grabbed him and threw him with the police into the back of a paddy wagon to a mental institution, but they were unable to break him while he was in there for 13 days, and he came out and he said, I'm divorcing Kim Kardashian and I'm done. And this whole thing's the Illuminati. What do you make of that? And he goes to visit Donald Trump. That guy's been at the parties in New York, folks, and I guarantee you he doesn't like it. John Lennon went to some of these parties, and his last songs before they killed him were about Satanism in New York. Those are not very popular songs. Hardly anybody's ever heard them. I didn't even know they existed until I was sent a CD by listeners. And then when I talked to the family, I'm going to stop right there. They said, oh, yeah, that's what's going on. And they told me, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, but I can't say what they told me. Incredible stuff. That was like 6 years ago. So you have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that John Lennon didn't want to be part of this. He came out against the world government. He said there's a plan to depopulate the earth. It's all made up. Remember that? I could play the clip. And it looks like Kanye West is waking up. And I always said as this house of cards starts to fall, There's going to be people we didn't think were our friends that become our friends. People we thought were our friends are going to turn against us. But here is the intel now blowing up. They said a year ago the CIA said Russians were involved. They said it 6 months ago. They said it 4 months ago at the RNC event in Cleveland. Then they said it 5 weeks ago on the eve of the election. And always it came out it wasn't true. Then 2 weeks ago, they said the alt-right, listing Infowars.com and DrudgeReport.com and Breitbart.com, listing us as the three they want to take down first. Then nobody's safe. And we're skip this break. They said they want to shut us down. And the EU said shut us down. And the Washington Post last Wednesday had to admit that was all made up with no proof, and it was a fake list, and had to retract it, saying we weren't Russian agents because their lawyers told them suits are being filed, you're going to lose. So they said, okay, we have no proof, we're sorry, it's fake. They said it's fake. 2 days later, they come out, Bezos-run, Obama-run paper, worse than the New York Times, nothing worse. Comes out, this fake news pariah, and says that the CIA and 16 other agencies unanimously say it's a fraud. And then, ladies and gentlemen, within 2 days of the lie, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence that runs all 17 agencies, the, quote, biggest intelligence agency, the Fusion Center, comes out and says there's no proof. It's very, very thin. You can't show intent. This is crazy. It's the Chinese that are bombarding us. And even the press secretary slipped up yesterday in a press briefing and said it's the Chinese that are hacking. Folks, they had bots hitting us. Hillary hired hundreds of millions in bots and fake posters. And again, the illegals voting and all the foreign money. They turned everything around and blame the Russians. RT is big globally because our media is so discredited, but RT America has almost unreadable ratings. They're only in some hotels. I mean, I would go on RT America and have no response. RT's effect on this country is barely even, you can't even gauge it. It's big in Europe, though. It's on broadcast TV in Europe. There's broadcast TV in London it's on. It's big in Europe, but RT America is just like a baby. It's like an oak tree, is 20 feet tall, and has a big canopy, and there's some, 2-inch tall little sproutling. That's RT America. This claim is just bull. America defeated the globalists. America repudiated the Democrats and the Bushes and the whole old guard of the Republican establishment that tried to steal the nomination. And they're upset that we won. And then on top of it, the Russians hacked us. Why? Because Hillary had an illegal server and lied to everybody, and they're all sharing data with everybody, and she got $35 million from them in a uranium deal? They got a lot of nerve, folks. And now they've got the CIA involved in the middle of our election. Top U.S. spy agency refuses to endorse CIA's Russian hacking assessment due to lack of evidence. That's up on Infowars.com right now. That's all over the news. They can't stand the fact that this is happening. Flashback, Infowars.com, Kit Daniels from the New York Times. Feds admit no Russian cyber attacks targeting election. That was just a few weeks before the election. Go read the New York Times article all about it. And that was, again, republished. They admitted it again on November 26th of this year, just less than a month ago. Boom! They said it before the election, and they said it after. Less than a month ago, Clapper said this did not happen. But the order came down to give him some rogue briefing group, just like the Office of Special Plans at the Pentagon in 2002 that lied about the WMDs bipartisanly. If you can't get the main CIA to lie, just create a new little special office of somebody that'll lie. Like Colin Powell holding up the anthrax vial. Meanwhile, White House claims China hacked election, calls Bolton conspiracy theorist. We're going to play that after the break, but first. Right through December 17th, the last day that we can guarantee you'll get your order before Christmas in the United States, we're offering store-wide free shipping. And on top of that, some of the biggest discounts of the year. 30% off Living Defense Parasite Cleanse. 50% off colloidal silver, silver bullet, and free shipping. That is just an incredible deal. Brain Force Plus, now with 20% more in each bottle and 30% off. $19.95, can't beat that deal. Winter Sun, Vitamin D3, 25% off. Survival Shield X2 Nascent Iodine, again an amazing 30% off. BioTrue Selenium, 30% off, and that's just some of the specials. Check them out today at InfoWarsStore.com or InfoWarsLife.com, or call toll free. The great crew will answer your questions, tell you about some of the other specials, and take your order if you'd like. 888-253-3139.